What would you do if you discovered a door that every generation had been warned never to open? Not because it hid treasure, not because it concealed secrets, but because the people who sealed it believed that opening it would change the world forever. Most people would walk away. Ethan didn't. And by the time he realized why that door had remained untouched for 100 years, it was already too late. Hidden deep within a mountain valley stood the ruins of St. Arden Monastery. Its walls had survived wars, earthquakes, and countless storms. The villagers respected the place, but they never visited after sunset. Children were told never to climb the hill. Travelers avoided the old stone paths. Whenever someone asked why, the elders would simply reply, "Some doors are locked for everyone's sake." Most people laughed at the warning. Ethan Carter certainly did. A young historian with a passion for forgotten mysteries, Ethan believed every legend had a logical explanation. When his university funded an excavation beneath the monastery, he volunteered immediately. He expected broken pottery and ancient manuscripts. Instead, he found something no one expected. Behind a collapsed wall rested an enormous iron door. It stretched nearly 15 feet high. Heavy chains covered its surface, each one fused by rust. At eye level, an inscription was carved into black stone. It read, "Do not break the seal. The world has forgotten what lies beyond." Everyone fell silent. Even the workers refused to go closer. That evening, Ethan visited the oldest resident of the nearby village. The man was 93 years old and claimed his grandfather had witnessed the door being sealed. According to the story, 100 years earlier, every bell in the monastery rang at exactly midnight. The monks gathered without speaking. By sunrise, they had chained the underground chamber shut. Days later, the monastery was abandoned forever. No records explained why. No monk ever spoke of it again. The old man leaned toward Ethan and whispered, "They weren't locking something away. They were keeping something asleep." Ethan smiled politely. He believed fear created myths. Science uncovered truth. The next morning, he returned to the door. Then he noticed something impossible. The freezing underground chamber was covered in dust, but the iron door was warm, almost like living skin. Against everyone's warnings, Ethan cut through the final chain. The sound echoed through the tunnels like distant thunder. The ancient lock slowly fell to the ground. The door creaked open by itself. No treasure waited inside. Only a perfectly preserved hallway glowing with soft blue light. There were no cobwebs, no dirt, no signs of time, just endless silence. As Ethan stepped forward, every watch inside the monastery stopped. Miles away, clocks inside the village suddenly began ticking backward. Birds vanished from the sky. Dogs barked at empty streets. Mirrors reflected shadows that weren't standing there. At night, people heard whispers calling their names. Some followed the voices into the forest. They never returned. The villagers knew exactly what was happening. The seal had been broken. Ethan explored deeper into the impossible hallway. Ancient symbols covered every wall. At the very end stood another stone tablet. Unlike the first, this one had never been seen before. Simply read, "The door was never meant to keep people out. It was meant to keep something in." At that exact moment, every light inside the monastery went dark. The blue glow intensified until it looked like daylight beneath the earth. A low hum filled the air. Then footsteps echoed from the darkness. Slow, steady, getting closer, but no figure appeared. Only an enormous shadow stretching across the floor. As midnight arrived, a column of blue light burst through the roof of the monastery and shot into the sky. The clouds stopped moving. The wind disappeared. Time itself seemed frozen. From the glowing hallway emerged a faceless figure. It didn't attack. It simply looked at people. And when it did, memories disappeared. A mother forgot her daughter. Friends became strangers. Entire families stood together without recognizing one another. Panic spread across the valley. Ethan realized the monks had never imprisoned a monster. They had imprisoned something that consumed memory itself. The only way to stop it was to restore the seal. But someone had to remain inside forever. Without hesitation, Ethan walked back through the ancient doorway. He looked at the terrified villagers one final time, smiled, and pulled the massive door shut from the inside. The chains wrapped themselves around the iron. The blue light vanished, the whispers stopped, and silence returned to the valley. By morning, the monastery stood exactly as it had for 100 years. Abandoned, still, untouched. The villagers remembered their families again. Life slowly returned to normal. But one strange detail remained. No one could remember the face of the young historian who saved them. His photographs were blank. His name had disappeared from every document. Only the ancient door remained beneath the mountain, waiting in darkness. A reminder that not every mystery exists to be solved. Some survive because they protect us from truths we're not meant to uncover. So the next time someone tells you never to open a forgotten door, you might want to listen. The moment Ethan stepped across the threshold, the temperature changed. The cold underground air disappeared, replaced by a strange warmth that seemed to come from the walls themselves. He turned around. The entrance was still there. The excavation team stood frozen outside, staring at him without moving. It looked as though time had slowed to a crawl. Only Ethan could move normally. His flashlight flickered once before shutting off completely. Yet he wasn't standing in darkness. The hallway glowed with a pale blue, light that had no visible source. Every stone was perfectly clean. No dust, no cracks, no signs that an entire century had passed. His footsteps echoed endlessly, as if the corridor stretched far beyond what his eyes could see. Then he heard it. Tick, tick, tick. An old grandfather clock stood against the wall. His hands were moving. 1 second forward, 1 second backward, forward, backward. Impossible. As Ethan reached toward it, a whisper drifted through the hallway. Ethan. He spun around. Nobody. The corridor remained empty. He laughed nervously. It has to be the wind. But there was no wind. The whisper returned, this time closer. Ethan, don't look behind you. His heart pounded. Every instinct told him to run. Instead, curiosity won. He slowly turned. At the far end of the hallway stood a person, or at least something that looked like one. A tall figure dressed in the robes of an ancient monk. Its head was lowered, its hands folded calmly in front of it. It didn't move. It simply stood there. Ethan took a cautious step forward. The figure disappeared. Only silence remained. Trying to calm himself, he continued walking. Along the walls hung dozens of framed paintings. Each one showed the monastery from different centuries. Monks praying, villagers gathering, children playing in the courtyard. Everything looked ordinary, until he noticed something strange. In every single painting, one person was always watching from the background. The same hooded figure, standing perfectly still, watching, no matter the century, no matter the artist. Ethan's breathing grew heavier. He pulled out his camera and snapped a photo. The flash illuminated the corridor for a split second. When he looked at the screen, the hallway was empty. But just behind his shoulder, a shadowy hand rested on his back. He dropped the camera. It hit the floor with a loud crack. The sound echoed through the endless passage. Then every clock inside the hallway began ticking at once. Tick, tick, tick. Hundreds of clocks, thousands of ticking hands. The rhythm became louder until it sounded like marching footsteps. The blue light dimmed. One by one, the paintings began changing. The smiling faces inside slowly turned toward Ethan. Their expressions faded into fear. And at the bottom of every frame, words slowly appeared as though written by an invisible hand. You should have left the door closed. At that exact moment, somewhere above the monastery, every church bell in the village rang at once. The elderly villagers looked toward the mountain. Some dropped to their knees. Others whispered the same sentence their grandparents had spoken 100 years before. The seal has been broken. And deep beneath the earth, Ethan heard something that made his blood run cold. A massive iron door, closing by itself. But he was still inside. Sometimes our curiosity may lead us into situations that we have no control over. This is to tell you that next time that someone warns you about some dangers behind your decisions, you might just want to listen.